Hi, hello. So a little while ago I did a Q&A live stream for people to ask me questions, and even though by the end it was pretty much just a lot of because of the perspective. Oh my gosh, I'm an idiot. I'm so tired. I still got a lot of good questions on my comic drawing process, character creation, my inspirations, etc. So here is a more concise collection of all those questions and answers for you. Starting off with some simple questions on what I use and how I work. What tablet do I use? It's a Huion. I'ma be honest, I don't exactly know what it's called because I don't remember, but when I put some of the stream highlights together with all the questions I answered, I will put it up on the screen for you. What size is your brush? I know it sounds weird, but I feel like brush sizes matter on the line art, so what's yours? Okay, my main drawing pen, I set it to 75, but if you're using different programs, the sizing methods will be different, right? Some of them might just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whereas others may have a bigger range. Take what I said with a grain of salt. It may not mean what you think it means, you know? Also, page size. I think you can see it on the screen, but if you look at the very top, tippy top of my drawing, up there where my arrow is pointing, but not these things, like on top of that. It should say 6.25 by 8.75. I think that's not including the bleed. Question, how long is Rags and Rascals projected to be? I don't have an exact number because I'm not good at estimating how many pages of like comic art a page of script will translate into, but as far as I've estimated, I think it'll be 300-ish pages, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. I'm hoping to publish them into like 3 shorter books because it is kind of split into 3 parts or acts or whatever. So each one should be about 100 pages, but yeah. Do you do a chunk at a time fully, or do you have them staged and you work ahead? See, I'd like to have enough episodes out that I can work ahead. That way I can really get into the rhythm of just doing thumbnails and get into the rhythm of sketching and inking and coloring and so on and so on. Yeah, that was the original goal, to have a buffer of episodes so that I can do that. And then I kind of fell behind, and so I've been working week to week, which means I just do 1 chunk of pages at a time, every step. Yeah, so that's where I wish I was and where I actually am, but it is what it is. That's okay. What's your overall process for getting one of these out? A lot of the groundwork for the comic was done before I started posting it at all. So yeah, like I'd written several drafts of the script, and that I think is an immense help in my process because it means I don't have to write the story on the fly. That would be a nightmare. I have a bit of the end of the story that I still need to do some final edits on a draft for, but yeah, so that's part of my process, but not part of the weekly process. And then I guess on a weekly basis, I thumbnail out the episode based on the script. Each episode is about 2 to 3 pages, and then go over it with the sketch, followed by line art or inking, do some flats, fix the lighting, and then format it for Webtoon and Tapas. Since I originally make it in page form, gotta change it to scroll format. And I think that's it. Yep, just one step to another, basically. On average, how long does a page take for this? Ooh, okay. I think my average is about 8 to 10 hours, depending on the complexity of the page, how fast I work, stuff like that. Question, how long have you been making comics? I mean, I think I've drawn comics here and there as a kid, but for like making and sharing these bigger comics online, I drew Beyond Ariga's Walls in 2020, so 4 years, I guess. Though in that in-between time, it's not like I drew comics constantly. Drawing consistently every week. This comic has been going on for 4 months, and I started prepping a little bit before, so I'd say 5 months maybe. Next up, we had a few questions on the Rags and Rascals story and characters. So what's the story for those who don't know, aka me? So if you've never read Rags and Rascals, it is a comedy adventure story about 2 siblings named Arlo and Rhea who want to change their lives for the better and do so with a quite a reckless little fetch quest. Yeah, it's just a lot of sibling banter and fun times. I mean, obviously there's story and conflict and whatnot, but at its core, it's, yeah, just a silly little adventure with chaotic family energy. Have I sold it to you? Do you want to go read it now? Are you enthralled by my summary? How did I get the original idea for Rags and Rascals? Funny enough, it started as a story prompt generator way back when I was still in high school. Okay, not way back. I'm not that old. But yeah, I was looking for story prompt generators just because I have other projects that I really wanted to make, stories that I wanted to write, but I felt like at the time they were such big projects that it's like, okay, I don't have the means or the skills to tackle these. And if I do it, I want to get it right. So I need a simple project to start out with first. Something easy, something achievable. And so the prompt was something along the lines of a comedic dystopian caper or something. And so that's kind of where it started. Story was originally about these kids trying to steal like just a whole banquet. Straight up, the whole thing. Just take all the food and just the different chaotic ways they got those things. Eventually, that idea turned into the similarly chaotic adventure that Arlo and Rhea go on, but that's essentially the gist of how it got here. From the original story, you remember that it was two brothers and Jasper. What made you change it to a brother and sister? You're right in remembering that. It was Arlo and his older brother Wyatt. Yeah, I guess the two main reasons that I changed it was because not shown in that original short story was a character named Rena, who was a friend of Arlo and Wyatt. And then as I worked the story around, I was like, she doesn't really need to be here. She doesn't really add much to the story and she just kind of tags along. And then on the opposite end with Jasper, he had a cousin named Lynn, or Jocelyn, but just called her Lynn. She is important to the story, but she was so similar in character to Wyatt that I was like, okay, I don't really need both of them to be like this. And so because I axed Rena, I was like, ugh, I have like next to no girls in this story. Oops. Except for Lynn. And because Lynn and Wyatt were so similar anyway, I was like, okay, why don't I move the character who was Rena to Lynn's place? And then I combined Lynn and Wyatt as characters. Now we've got a character who you'll meet later on when we get further into Jasper's side of the story. And then over on the side of the story we're following now, instead of Wyatt, we've got Rhea. And also, I don't know why I said also, there's nothing else to say. Yeah, that's basically what happened. We also went into a good number of just miscellaneous questions. Do I do anything else creatively? Other than my comic, just doodling, making like videos and animatics for YouTube. And then I haven't played in a bit, but I did play quite a bit of Minecraft. At some point, Minecraft, it really is just 3D art, but with a lot of limitations. Like you have to use a limited palette of blocks, and everything does look blocky. It's cool to create things without a whole lot to go off of. I will not be visiting the Pale Gardens, but I will be building with that stuff in creative mode. Yeah, if I visit the Pale Gardens, it will absolutely be in the daytime. I don't have a need for the creaking heart or anything that the creaking gives you. I just want the wood and the moss, and then I'm out of there. Anyway, back to the questions. Big question, how do you design a character? Well, I'm maybe not the best person to ask because I don't think I'm a very good designer. If I had some advice, though, I think making them very distinct, whether that's using shapes or colors. Amethyst said one tip for character design is shape language. Yeah, shape language is a big one. If you want examples of really good shape design, Inside Out's an obvious one. All the characters have very different shapes that give them very different feelings. There are different colors we associate with different feelings, like brown is very, stable and sturdy, I guess, whereas, say, like a bright yellow is very energetic and fun. Blue, it can fall into a lot of different categories depending on the kind of blue. It can be very cool and calm, or it can look professional if it's dark blue. There's a lot to it, but I think with those two things combined and having your characters each have quite a distinct silhouette, I think you'd be off to a good start. Make your characters have very distinct life and details that, make you remember them and want to know them more. What do you think your strengths are in this medium? If we're talking about comics, I definitely think character expressions and character acting, just making their emotions and their mannerisms feel real and likable. Yeah, when I was doing a storyboarding course, that's definitely what people pointed out to me even then. Whether I know the rules or not, like, I know how to make fun characters, I think. Do you read any webcomics for inspiration? Oh boy, do I! Okay, a lot of the comics that are the biggest inspirations for Rags and Rascals are not webtoons. They're like comics I have in print. And I think my biggest inspirations are, I'm gonna butcher her name and I'm so sorry because I love her art, but Svetlana Chmakova? She wrote these middle grade graphic novels called Awkward and Brave, and there are a few more in the series, but I think those two are my favorites. She just has a very cute and youthful drawing style with little comedy bits in it, and I just love the way she does that. So that's a big inspiration. And then again, Faith Erin Hicks, her Nameless City series. I think my page layouts, see the way that I have panels laid out, bubbles and stuff hand drawn, some panels staying within the border while others go all the way to the edge. A lot of that inspiration was taken from the way Faith Erin Hicks does her graphic novels, so that's always a big inspiration. I often have those books stacked on my desk as I draw because I like looking at them for reference. Again, Space Boy by Stephen McCraney. That one is on Webtoons. Stephen McCraney has really cool page layouts. His tend to be a lot more spread out, so he has fewer panels per page, which I love looking at. Maybe not necessarily the way I draw most often, but very cool nonetheless. Also just the way Stephen McCraney draws his characters and emotions and designs locations and things like that. Just, yeah, big inspiration. Love those. Other webcomics I read for inspiration: the Batman comic, Wayne Family Adventures. Great character work. Line art, impeccable. Starbites. It was Starbite, right? Who does the inking? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's a big inspiration. Lady Liar, created by the same artist, Mara Paz, who drew Miss Abbott and the Doctor. Like, I'm not into romance comics or books, like the genre in general, but her work just has such silly, goofy vibes that, yeah, 10 out of 10 would recommend. Her stuff is very simple art-wise. Like, she keeps it to a pencil and maybe a couple colors. She does the absolute most with nothing but those tools, but just the way she writes and the way her characters feel real, just great. Amazing. I'm gonna go on a huge tangent here talking about comics. You got me going. Avatar, The Last Airbender, that's huge. Lil Char and the Gang, that Pokemon comic, so much fun. Miss Mark, who wrote Dazer and Eleanor, which Dazer and Eleanor is good too, but I want to talk about Third Prince as the Charm, because, I don't know, just silly introvert energy. And then I just want to list off some comics that, like, art friends of mine have made, because, one, to shout them out, and two, because they are also big inspirations. Pot of Gold by Natasha Berlin. Check that out, 100%. The Pumpkin Sells Real Estate by Lizzie. She was here a while ago in the stream. She's gone now, but slice of life vibes. Pumpkin Man, great. Black Fox by Angeline Art. This little superhero mystery type of stuff. She hasn't updated this one in a while, but Bjornstad Antiques and Collectibles. The Fate of a Rose by Sushi Cat Go. Guys, impeccable emotional storytelling. Yeah, she's been quite busy lately, so there haven't been many updates, but that she's crazy. She's amazing. Yeah, I could go on. I'm gonna stop there before you guys got me talking about comics for the next hour. I mean, that is kind of what I'm here to do, but yeah. Anyway, y'all got me villain monologuing. What are my favorite shows / movies? Okay, favorite shows. Before you say anything, I'm aware there was a train wreck that crashed and burned, but Voltron Legendary Defender, all-time favorite of mine for a long time. I was absolutely obsessed with it, and still holds a very special place in my heart. I rewatched seasons 1 and 2 so many times. It's a little bit insane. Avatar, super good. Not an animated show, but The Chosen, like the Bible one, amazing. 11 out of 10. I need to catch up. I didn't finish season 4, but so good. So moving. Even if you're not a Christian, I would highly recommend it. Movies. See, I feel like I've started to think about this question more in like a, oh, animation studios ask you for interview type of angle. So I feel like I have to come in with a disclaimer that, oh, I like these movies for fun, not because of their cinematography or whatever. But Bolt is definitely one of them. Love Bolt. Mitchell's vs. the Machines, a recent favorite. Both Spider-Verse movies, amazing, 10 out of 10. It is a crime that I neglected to mention Gravity Falls during the stream. So here I am, giving one of my favorite shows the attention it deserves. And at another point in the stream, this happened. You're right, this is very elevator music. Oh my gosh. Whoa, hold up. Oh, hold up, guys. How often do I stream? Not enough to do this properly, apparently. Oh my gosh. Whoa, hold up. Yeah, no, I never really stream. This is the first time I've done it in years and years. I don't do this often, and I probably will not do this often. I've also gotten a few questions over on Webtoon here and there, so I thought I may as well address them here too. Okay, first of all, not a question, it was a comment, but this is one of my favorite comments, so I'm just gonna read it out. Someone said that they misread the city name, which is Kylum. They misread it as Chum and then Calcium. Yeah, so the city they're in is not in fact called Chum or Calcium. I just need to point that out, but I thought that was really funny. It's gonna be burned in my brain when I read this later. Hey, if you want to call the city Calcium, be my guest. And then someone also asked how Oregon, if it was pronounced like Oregon. So let me just go through some pronunciations real quick. It doesn't really matter since you're reading this in your head, but Auriga and Oregon, pronounced like that. Kylum, pronounced like that. Character names, Arlo, Rhea, Jasper. I think those are fairly easy, but yeah. Now you know. Fun information. Will there be more characters added along the way for Rags and Rascals? And that is yes, absolutely. This person asked this right before Jasper was actually introduced, so I was like, well, funny story. Yeah. Jasper would be the main supporting character joining the crew, but there are a few more like background characters coming in. After Jasper was introduced, there's quite a few comments that are like, Jasper, you're back, or whatever. Someone asked, who is this lad and why is he the hype? And I might as well just share my answer. When I made the original short story comic for this, that was about 4 years ago. It was kind of a pilot of the story from Jasper's perspective. After all these years, finally sharing a revised and updated version of the story, it's just nice to have Jasper back. It's like, oh, we've come full circle. Here we go again. You know, is the original story still on Webtoon or readable anywhere? It is, actually. If you go on Webtoon, go to my creator profile, the original short story is still there. It's called Beyond Ariga's Walls. I will warn you in advance that I don't think it's very good. And even if you read it, the plot's changed, the characters have changed, so it will not be canon to the current running story. But if you want to check it out, if you want to die from cringe or just see where this comic has come from in its early baby days, go right ahead, I guess. I would not, but you are free to. After that last question, I kind of feel obligated to encourage you to read Rags and Rascals instead of the old comic. But anyway, Rags and Rascals will be linked below, and yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys later.